arrays to actually help him out. Why? Because on a map like this, you kind of still need that Sova to try to get those recon arrows, to get some information to see where maybe the attackers are going to be coming from at this point. So you can see here on the defenders, it is going to be built by gamers. Homeless on the attacker side. We are kicking things off with Som opening up with a headshot onto Nicholas. And look at that. Such aggressive pushes from the garage down towards that ramp. ob-wiz back and forth. Lasky still stays alive. And it's a 3 versus 2 for the attacker side as they pick up the spike. And they're up against now Torque, and also I think it's Nicholas, right, playing as that Sova. And now the attackers picking up that spike, moving here towards this A side. They don't have trap wires at the same time either, so it's going to be maybe possibly another bloodbath on a post-plant situation.
Yeah, it looks like it's still Torque on the Sova from before, so that means that Nicholas is the one on the Omen, but this is going to be an uncontested walk into Site A. They're going to likely be able to plant and take post-plant positions here for Homeless, and I have to say that I'm very excited to see that BBG did not stray away from their previous tactics, which is on pistol rounds, you just push out. They don't believe in defending angles with the pistol round. They, pushed right out into the bullets of death. That's an easy double kill, 2 straight headshots, and that's going to be a victory, a round 1 win for the side of Homeless. But I imagine we're going to see the same thing. We saw that last map, the last round, where on pistol rounds, BBG likes to just push out. They don't hold angles. They don't try to play traditionally the way you do with rifles. They just go aggressive. So we'll see if that trend continues or if they slow it down, but that was a bloodbath early on.
Yeah, and even for them too, they like to have that second round buy, force buy as well. As we do see Built by Gamers definitely always go with stingers on a second round, but this usually on the attacker side too, of course. Now that they start off on defenders, it's going to be shorties that they actually purchase, and they're actually going to fall back here into the site as ob-wiz was spotted towards sewer side, but it's only going to be one player that he spots and vice versa. So that was Superman that threw that molly down, and he clears that out, but even ob-wiz decides to push back forward. He's going to be made up by 2 of his teammates into the A side, even a 4th one to actually rotate now between the back spawn, a smoke in towards your garage. So they're actually going to go for a gamble. So smoke in front of B, smoke towards garage, thinking that there's still some players playing inside B and C, but it's going to be a full 5-man stack inside the A side.
Yeah, we can see BBG is fully stacked now on A, and it's right when the opposing squad is rotating away. So Homeless threw some utility, as you said, out to the other sites, and I think that they have realized that nobody took the bait. They didn't hear anybody rotate away, so they have now moved, and it's all signs pointing toward a Site C positioning, a Site C take. We do have Def here, kind of playing B, making some noise, and he's solo, right? Everybody else is going C, so it's low. I was about to say, going to be bad news for Def as everyone collapses on him, but it turns out SMG is still great at taking out some folks, and yeah, that's easy 2 kills.
Yeah, rapid fire, easy kills coming through, and it's a stinger. And Def, actually a player, before even the game went live in the beta mode, he was actually playing a lot as a Sage. And playing a lot as a Sage, he was the type of person that likes to lurk around too. So he wanted to score, get some kills, self-heals, and move forward at the same time as well. But at this point now, he's playing as a Cypher, gatherer of information with the cameras to do the same type of effect as that lurker. And with that, though, on this pistol round, nothing that they could really get here for Built by Gamers. Only 1 kill so far with probably a shorty at this point. But Nicholas looking for exits for himself. Nobody here from the attacker side looking back to rotate towards C. So they're actually going towards the defender spawn. So all 4 of them will stay alive. Nicholas as well. And it's going to be 2-0.
This was an interesting round when you think about it, because Built by Gamers has been pushing out on the pistol rounds. And this is the first time where they didn't go full-on aggressive push out, and 3 of their members had shorties. So once they'd lost positioning, and especially in that post-plant situation there, it's very hard to close the distance with the shorties. That's why we saw, for example, Nicholas kind of got pushed out, had to take a save round even though he only has a shorty, because there's no way he can close the gap there. But now with the full buy on the side of BBG, they've all got Phantoms here. Expect them to play a little bit more traditionally. And Superman and Poised, however, get early picks before ob-wiz gets that headshot on Poised. And we did hear the operator fire there as well. No, go ahead.
And it's still going to connect, though. So Lasky does get the kill onto ob-wiz. This is another change, too, for Homeless. So a change from a Raze to a Jet. This is something that Lasky likes to do, too, because Lasky also likes to opt for the team. So being able to play as a Jet, getting those high grounds, getting that updraft towards the brick spots, the brick stacks, rather, towards long A, gets that kill exactly where you saw that ping come through. So they're ping, okay, this is where I got killed, this is where the operator was, but that's late information. You already have that spike as the operator moving back towards the C side with also, once again, guess who? Def lurking towards the B side. So they're going to go for a pincer maneuver into the link at long C. It's not going to be easy right now for Payne and his teammate.
Well, Torque does get a double kill as they come through C long, though. They walked right into it, and just like that, the numbers have evened up. It's now a 2v2, but we do see Def, who does get the kill from behind on Torque, so creeping around did pay off. He got the flank, and with plenty of time left, we're going to see Lasky there sprinting towards site A so that they can plant and have this 2v1 post-plant setup. I like the play. And meanwhile, we have Payne here, who is slow on the rotate. You know the spike is planted, but taking his time.
He ran a bit, but I don't think it was hurt by Def. So it's just the whole timing thing right now. So Def is actually going back through spawn. You can see it's a whole ring around the Rosie from the three remaining players, but at least Lasky is holding all the way down towards Sewer to watch that flank. So they know that he's going to be coming from spawn side, and now he's going to get pinched. It's probably going to be impossible here for Payne to win this one.
Yeah, you kind of have to, I think, go for the fake, get a quick headshot, and then finish it off. But again, both of these players playing patiently because you have somebody in heaven, and that's going to be an easy one tap there for Def. So 3-0 in favor of Homeless to start things off, and this was the largest gap that we saw last time around, with either team leading by 3, and we get it right out of the gate here.
We haven't even seen a 4th round in a row for sure for either of these players or either of these teams, and it's looking to be, at least for the fact that it is going to be Homeless that should be able to make it 4-0 because we have an eco coming in for Built by Gamers. And like I said, when it was a 4 versus 2, it was perfect for them to actually try to hold as much as they can towards the defender side, but actually leaving an opening, letting Death still being able to lurk around to get that frag changed everything. Even though they lost 1 or 2 players, of course, moving up towards the C long, it doesn't really highlight anything from the 2K that Payne had towards that C side. They really had to try to get Death down to be able to really win that clutch. This round, though, it is going to be a very passive play for Built by Gamers, as we do have a plant coming through, but the ult that was popped here from ob-wiz, Nicholas just does get the wallbang onto Death. So right now they're running through. They're still trying to get some kills. Torque to fall, Superman then onto Foe. And that is going to be them just holding it back. Finally, we have calmed things a bit, unless ob-wiz can get something done, and he will! A headshot onto Lasky, but Nicholas picking up the Vandal here, gets the first kill, a second one to move forward, a trade, but no! Som gets the kill onto Payne, who does not connect, and unfortunately, with a few shots of the classic 17 HP remaining from the Fortnite player, and we have 4 rounds in a row. I almost caster cursed it. It was such a great eco there coming in from Built by Gamers, but it's still going to be Homeless that takes that round, but that was such an expensive round to win.
That was a very well executed round from the side of BBG, given the disparity that you had. Now, the good news is your eco round is over, so you likely have buys. The bad news, however, is you're still down 0-4, and the opposing squad has 4 ultimate abilities online. So if they start popping some of those off, you're going to have to fight through even more. You've got to win around, though. You can't let this gap widen any further. And we see Torque here watching the garage. We see through caster vision, though. Nobody's really peeking there. They're going to try to take mid control, it would seem, here, with a lot of folks pushed up into B. And we see ob-wiz with a pick there. Now the plant starts to go down, but it was a bit of a fake. He gets pushed out of the position there because of all of the incoming fire. The wall goes up, and they are going to back out now and see if they can take a different site. Poised, rotating on over to site A, it would seem.
Definitely, and now it's going to be them rotating towards the A side, but his stack is still towards B. So the sold is kind of, the fake rather, is kind of sold at the beginning of this round, but a solo Cypher is okay. You have a camera, you have trap wires, you could still get a lot of information here as Payne is playing it in the back of the default boxes. So it's not over yet for them. Even a smoke that comes out towards the towards the stewards, but there's a gap in there. And Spawn does connect with the Hunter's Fury onto Pain, so that's one defender down. But with that, 30 seconds left on the clock, they're still backing over towards the C side. Why? Because actually, Def moved forward all the way towards Spawn. Now you have Torque moving out with a knife in his hands, and Torque, he gets headshotted, and with that, that has to be the call. After the neural theft for these 3 players to save, they're actually still going to go for it. They're going to try to close in on the Def. He does get the first kill, but it's traded off, and with that, paint that operator, try to save that gun. Oh no, you're still going to move forward because there's no time. So now, okay, they do get the spike at least, and after that dart, I don't know. The reason why I say keep falling back and save your guns is it's gonna be very hard for them to try to retake this. And there you go. You're just wasting your money right now. I'm really questioning that play for Built by Gamers, but you know they want to bring that fight. Look at that money. They don't have enough money into that round. If they actually save the operator and those 2 rifles on that 4 versus 3 when they lost from that neural theft, then they would have had a full gun round into this one here. Now it's going to be a broken buy or another eco coming through, and it solidifies a 6-0.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to, well, they're changing their minds. I was going to say go with the broken buy there, but they are going to back out, kind of take like an eco, a couple of folks with some small half buys there, if you will. But that was such a beautiful alert, such a beautiful call out to say, hey, Site C is open and I'm here. Got the easy ambush kill. You know, nobody from BBG was expecting somebody to already be lurking on Site C, walked right into it, and that sealed the deal. But this time around, it looks like Homeless is going to play this slow. They want the picks, and I like this call when you know that, again, you've got this advantage when it comes to the arms. You've got rifles, you know that they're on likely pistols. A couple of folks might be on half buys. You can play it safe, play from a distance, try to use your rifles to your advantage, and then make something happen. So this is...
Yeah. Okay. Thankfully. it could have been bad timing, but if Def actually looked back towards that sewers, but I was going to say, like, the amount of times that Def is able to lurk around, like, unscathed, unnoticed, I don't understand how they're not covering these angles that allows Def to actually maneuver so easily through the map.
Well, Foe there with a sheriff kill, and now is going to pick up a Phantom as a result, and we're going to see the plant interrupted as well. This is a great round so far by BBG, exactly what they needed to get back into this. Nicholas, again, with that judge kill there, so it's going to be a 5v2, make that a 5v none as Nicholas and ob-wiz finish things off, and this is what you needed if you were BBG.
Yeah. This is where BBG says, Vansili, we heard you, that maybe we should have saved our guns, but shut the hell up. There's a reason why we're playing this game and you're casting it. And that's because we could still win rounds with judges and classics and pistols. So on a forced buy, broken buy that they kind of had there for the defender side, it made it work in their favor. And look at that. Def is actually only stuck with a stinger, and the rest of them bought all the way down to 0. So they might have a chance to bring this to a 5-2, maybe even possibly a 5-3 if they're able to take it all down. And it starts off well. He connects with 2. That is ob-wiz with the operator that saw one drop down towards that window as well. So he's going to look for some rotations, for some backup as well. It's going to be Torque that's going to rotate into the C-Link, and they have great coverage now on this 5 versus 3.
The money just hadn't been there for Built by Gamers prior, but once it got there, once ob-wiz was able to get this jet and the operator online, this is exactly what he likes to do on Haven. He loves the mobility, loves the sight lines. I'm not at all shocked that this is where they start to turn things around, is once the operator gets in his hands. But we do see a bit of a standoff here as Def is starting to feel a bit courageous, but decides to go with the camera there. ob-wiz picks it off and then repositions, and Def backed out after that, probably wisely at the moment. But you are on attack. You're going to have to push into plant at some point. Looks like A is going to be the play. Def is making noise here in garage, but the bulk of the squad is now moving into site A, where, again, through caster vision, we know it's just going to be the lone Cypher up there in heaven at the moment. ob-wiz in that connector can rotate around pretty quickly if the spike does start to go down. And with the utility dropping, that appears to be the plan.
That is crazy that Def could still lurk with an operator and get kills, and Superman opens up towards A. So there's only 13 seconds left on the clock, but you still have Pain on Heaven. It's smoked out, the spike has been planted. Def is watching rotations from the spawn set at Garage 2. He's gonna have to start acting quick, but he doesn't hear footsteps rotating either. So soon to be a 3 versus 2, but what advantages that give for Def. He's going to be able to lurk again at 13 HP with an operator. He was wallbanged earlier on, mind you, and he still manages to get a kill, make it a 3 versus 3, and now rotating through spawn. Big fight coming through as Bomb gets the kill. The trade does not happen. Nicholas, the last man standing down. It's a 2 versus 1. Taps onto the spike. No, he does not get the kill onto Som, who makes it a 3K, holding it towards the hell. And all from Death, getting a kill on the rotation and open up the A side so that the two players, his two teammates, could just focus on A, on a hold, on a crossfire. How did they turn this around? I have no freaking idea. But BBG, sorry, they have to start picking it up, and now they're going to pick it up with the dual operator setup again. Yeah,
that completely flipped, as you said, on the Def kill. I don't know how Def continues to just lurk around and not be seen. It's like his opponents are the ones that are deaf because they cannot hear him. Meanwhile, you've got Psalm, who has the opposing squad literally in the palm of his hand, if you will, because he picked up that 3K after jumping out of a window, which is not supposed to be the way that's supposed to go. Sometimes things just go all your way, all your favor. And now we see the power of Sage again. Only one squad rocking the Sage, but we have the Rez coming out to even things up after the early BBG pick. And they are trying to position mid here, but Torque with a kill. Payne picks one up. Superman gets the trade, though, takes that operator out of commission. But we do still have ob-wiz holding this angle. Look at that sliver. You only need 1 pixel to connect. He knows it. Holds that line very, very well. And we're going to have Foe picking off Superman in the garage as he tries to go up the steps. But Def, again, I don't know how it keeps happening. Def, all alone, by himself. Nobody knows he's there. He's just doing his own thing. Def is playing his own game at this point. Yeah, he can just do whatever he wants.
Yeah, he's at least waiting for his teammates so that they can break the trap wire, because that's going to get the position away. And already now, Lasky's close enough, right? So they're going to get this plant. They're going to play a 4 versus 2. A nice cloud burst up towards that heaven, but it's going to be ob-wiz that wins that fight at least. Operator versus operator, which is fine. I've seen Death use operators before, and he's been good with it, playing it as a Sage before, as I mentioned. But now, Lasky on his own. That's 1, that's 2. Looking for the 3rd with success. And the 4th one, headshot onto ob-wiz with no bullets remaining in the chamber, and he clutches it to make a 7 versus 1. And at that point, as built by gamers, you are demoralized.
As I said, sometimes everything goes your way. Lasky just landed, as you said, every bullet in the clip spent, a beautiful 4K to solo hold that site. Absolutely insane. They knew where he was. They couldn't get the trade frags. They kept swinging and just connecting with Lasky's bullets instead of the other way around. Beautifully, beautifully executed by Lasky.
Dude, and the worst part is that, unfortunately, it's more of a mistake here from Built by Gamers. I'm just going to talk over this because it's pretty much garbage time. They're on an eco right now for Built by Gamers, but you saw how they pretty much peaked it 1 by 1. It looks like they moved in as a group, but they really only covered their own angles 1 by 1, right? And so you had one at the window that's looking down towards long A. You had the first one that runs across that looks, or the first one that looks across that goes face to face versus Lasky and should have won that fight. He loses it. The second one to run across actually was looking down towards hell. So he looks down towards hell. He couldn't trade it. And the third one stuck with, or the 4th one rather, stuck with an operator. There's nothing much you could do. If you miss your shot, you're dead. If he misses a shot, he died. Lasky, what a play. I guess they did go for some sort of force buy there for BBG, because I saw a stinger, but I also saw some classics kept into the round too. So it was pretty much an eco going into this one.
This is a big hill to climb if you're Built by Gamers, because last game you were very, very close throughout the entire match. Now it is a mountain that you need to climb. You are down by 7, and the lead keeps expanding. What do you do? How do you get back in this? Well, not like that.
This point, yeah, exactly. At this point, you're just trying to bring it back into that second half, right? So they're trying with pistols, they're trying with guns. They're just not winning retakes either. It's a whole different Built by Gamers that we saw in this, or that we see in this map versus what we saw on Vine. They were doing so good on retakes, but at this point, it definitely shows that this is probably a map that was chosen by Homeless now in this best out of 3. And you can see how smooth they are, how they're moving forward, how they're leveraging Lasky with the operator now to get the entries as a Jet. They have that information as the Sova. Som is actually continuing to throw recon darts all over the place. And Death, of course, we've mentioned it before, we'll keep mentioning it now. He keeps being able to just walk around the map unscathed and also get so many backstabs and give so many opportunities for the team to turn rounds around that they shouldn't be able to win. So at that point, yes, what you want to do, the main focus, try to figure out what Death is playing and get rid of him. Because at that point, even if you have to give out a sight, if you know the attack is happening towards one side, you know that Death is looking towards the other sides. So find him first, get the kill, play the retake after.
Well, that's a nice pick to start things off by ob-wiz as he takes out Lasky, catches them creeping through that short side of A, but they're still pushing up. They're in the A long, kind of deciding, do we want to commit to this, yes or no? I love this camera positioning, gives a beautiful point of view here for Pain, and he knows that they're there, so they're going to wait. Slow rotations, though, because they are likely waiting to find Def. You see folks still on B and on C, and that might be the impact of Def, if you will. And we see Def gets a kill there on Pain before Foe gets a frag on Som there as well, but these slow rotations now, maybe they're getting in the head of BBG.
Yeah, exactly that. I was exactly going to say that. Now Poise gets the kill into ob-wiz. They open up the site, and that's exactly it. You saw it. Def gets a kill, and nobody rotated from the C site. The Phoenix and the Sova were still hanging around the garage. Okay, well, Def has got to be somewhere. But then finally, it's a full all-out execution from Team Homeless, moving into the site. Now a retake attempt coming through for BBG as Foe is going to look first as the information gatherer with the running back as the Phoenix. Molly does not land onto Poise, though, so Death and company are in a great position on a crossfire setup to on this post-plant situation. So Poise holding in towards that cubby. Death still gets that kill. Foe does get the kill into Superman, though. The last two guys now peeking through, and it's an easy 4K now for Death into this round. 10-1 in this first half. Looking to solidify this 11-1 lead with no money once again in this last round, the first half of BBG. Probably a broken buy for the last two players.
Yeah, those post-plant positions are so wonderful when you know that the opposing squad has to come from the defender side, because your choices are you go upstairs and then you're stuck having to jump out the window, which unless your name is Psalm is usually a bad thing. And then you have to walk through and you can't peek both ways, right? So you need to win your trade and then hope that when you die, whoever's behind you can pick up the other kill. Obviously didn't go their way in that scenario, and not a lot you can do. Just great execution from the side of Homeless. And again, this is a squad that doesn't necessarily have a lot of time together, so showing some synergy, showing some ability to make these call-outs, communicate well. I'm very impressed, but right now it looks like, well, Def falls early to Foe, and I was going to say it's going to be a push to Site C. Poise does get the res, but maybe they're going to consider backing out, and the answer is no. Superman gets a kill on Foe, Lasky on Torque as well, and it just feels like there's not anything that BBG can do to get things going their way, and here we see Def coming up from behind, but
I know okay.
Nicholas denies Def for once. Maybe this is what they needed.
Yeah, like I said, try to find Death, get the kill, and have them get a retake. No, they can't, because there's a recon arrow out too. And then Superman gets the last few kills. 11-1 to end the first half. Well, I don't know, man. Charmer, at this point, you got to reset and refocus here now on the attacker side. You did mention how they like to play very aggressively. This is actually two scenarios that could be really good, or this scenario could be really good, at least for BBG at this point, because Built by Gamers, really good on pistols, but they're okay at the same time too, that if they lose the pistols, having the force with stingers, it's still something that they're great at too. So they still have a chance to maybe turn things around on the first few rounds, but they have to do it with assertance, because right now the assertance is definitely coming from Homeless' side, and they're farming at this point.
Yeah, it's very rare that you'll hear me say this is a must-win pistol round, but I really do believe this is a must-win pistol round on the side of BBG, because you do not want to be at a disadvantage when it's match point. So we got to look for them to push in, execute, and make the most out of this. And we have some peeking going on C long, but they're not fully committing to it quite yet. We do see that the Sage Wall goes up, And I wouldn't be shocked if we end up seeing them maybe rotate in a different direction. They are still kind of positioned here in Cubby, but again, not pressing forward. We see the recon arrow going out. So the opposing squad just kind of checks to see if they're still there. And now they are going to fall back. So I was not very convinced that that was going to be a full commit. I think they were trying to draw some folks over. But they have to make a decision here at some point, and somebody's got to remember to get the spike.
I thought they were going to try to go for some sort of push and then rotate back to C, but now as you have Nicholas that's walking back, why did he not shoot him? He looked at
I don't know.
He looked at him.
Because Def is apparently invisible. That's all I've ascertained from this event, is you can't see or hear Def. You can look right at him, he can be right next to you, you don't know that Def is there. That's the only explanation I have.
Yeah, so you see what I mean? So they went towards A and they're walking back towards C. So that's exactly what they wanted to do here by Built by Gamers, which is why they dropped that spike. But now Def is actually even rotated out towards C. They have a 3-man stack. ob-wiz is already down to like sub 15 HP from the beginning of the round 2, and they have no Sage to heal. Now they have a 3-man stack. Impossible for them to win. Basically stuck now towards a Frost Orb, and a pistol lost now by Built by Gamers. 12-1. Map point, series point. And I see the chat talking about this a lot. They're all like, please, BBG, try to come back, try to win this game. Because technically right now at this point, and I think I agree with them, is that if Homeless wins this one here, it's going to be impossible for 100 Thieves to move forward, which I think at that point would be impossible as well for Built by Gamers to move forward too. So Homeless wins this matchup now. I think they secure their berth into the playoffs.
Yeah, the other squads all have at least 2 losses. And so you're absolutely right. It should at that point be TSM in first place and Homeless then in second as they move on to the bracket side. But Supermen here just popping off with the double again. SMGs, you've got that advantage going into this. This is exactly why BBG needed to win the pistol round. Foe trying to heal up here. Does have the Bucky, and we also saw the revolver there as well. So maybe they can make some magic happen here, but that was not a great exchange there early on. They're at a numbers disadvantage now, and the longer this goes, yeah, we can see the Sage heal is going to be coming, so that's going to top off Brimstone. And we see BBG kind of lurking around, trying to maybe get a pick. You've got this Sheriff. If you can catch a lucky headshot here, even things up, it'll make things a little bit easier. Now the Sage wall goes up, so the stalling continues from the side of Homeless. They're going to play this safe because they've got no reason to be aggressive. Again, you're up 12-1 here, so you can be ultra conservative, and if it doesn't go your way, you've got plenty of opportunities to close this thing out. And now it looks like the play is going to be for Site C as BBG comes out, but they're not going to spot. They're not going to spot Psalm, who's just lying here in wait. The arrow did not see him, and the minute he takes the swing, well, that's a good flash if they check, but he didn't.
They're never going to check.
So that's a nice hop, and that is a 3K. Yeah, that's it. It's over. Superman with a 3K. Diffuse. Congratulations, Homeless.
So Foe with a 2K going, sorry, it was Song with a 2K, almost a 3K, but at least Superman came in to sweep that kill and help him out. But 13-1, solidifying it and nailing it at least for Team Homeless. And that they win the series 13-1 and 13-11 on Bind. And they secure now the second place in Group A of the PAX Arena going into the playoffs tomorrow. So let me do a quick refresh right now to see what's going on with the groups. You have T1 in Group B, that's 4-0. So they solidify, of course, their first place. But the second place could still be up for grabs here between MV and Way Too French. And maybe even Echo 8 at that point. We'll have to see what matches that still have to come up for these 3 teams. In Group C, you have Immortals at 3-0, Gen G at 3-1, Prospects at 2-1-1, Mix Up at 3-1-2, and Team Mango at 0-4. So things are still looking as if it's going to be Immortals and Gen G moving forward. And last but not least, Group D, Cloud9 did suffer their first loss. So it's going to be Sentinels at 3-0 with 3 matches played, Cloud9 at 3-1, Renegades at 1-1, Complexity at 1-2, but still looking so far to be Sentinels and Cloud9 moving over to Group D. But at least then, a good GG here for 2 of these teams, for Homeless and for Built by Gamers. It wasn't their day, unfortunately, once again here for Built by Gamers, but I hope that they bounce back. I mean, this is the first time here, Charmer, that they're playing in this tournament with a stageless composition. That's probably some things that they could actually learn and bring back into the next tournament that they will play.
Yeah, I will say that I kind of commend the bravery to try this, to go completely sageless the entire way through. As she continues to get more and more toned down, I think that there is certainly room for sageless compositions to be viable, but going completely sageless for an entire tournament on every map, that takes some guts, and they're still, performing pretty well. And I think that the more reps they get, the better off they'll be. And I'm just kind of looking through this, and again, the first bloods really seem to be something that BBG is great at picking up. They just need to figure out a way to kind of snowball that momentum further in their matches.
Yeah, it's always good because it's ob-wiz, right? ob-wiz, amazing player that could do so many first bloods. I think on that previous map on Bind, Nicholas was at 3, I think, first bloods. But despite all that, the reason why they're not winning, it's that person that's on top of that scoreboard earlier on that we saw. Def at that point, 18 and 8, 354 combat score. So that shows how much damage he's done on average. Basically, I don't know, I think it was doing like 200 damage, 300 damage at every round pretty much for Death, just because he's able to backstab so many times. So I think from watching this best out of 3, one thing that they could learn is try to get rid of this lurker side. How do you get rid of lurkers? How do you bring lurkers that's so unique and present in Counter-Strike and also in Rainbow Six, now in Valorant? And maps that have so many gimmicks. For example, on Haven that has 3 maps, on Bind that has teleporters, on Split that has ropes, and then on Ascent that has doors. How do you find lurkers? Where do you think the lurkers are going to play, and how do you get rid of them? This is still new, right? We're still new into the game. It's only been 2 months, so that's going to give us a chance to actually learn how these roles are going to evolve, from operators to lurkers to healers to etc. So, and on top of that, you're going to have more agents coming out too. So I think the meta is going to continue to evolve, and I don't think we have anything pretty much set probably until the first year or so of this game.
Oh, absolutely. I think that we are seeing the evolution of a couple of different metas. I know that there's some things that catch all the attention, obviously operator play, because it is kind of that one hit kill. And because of the uniqueness of the agents and how you attack operators and push them out of their nest, I know that gets a lot of attention. But as you said, there are different roles and there are different ways to exploit them. And despite BBG being a squad known for their operator play, again, with ob-wiz in many respects, they still found a way to push into it very effectively and to lurk around. Again, Def felt like at times that he was invisible. He was all over the place, walking onto sites where other folks were, completely unseen at times. So very clearly something that you can do if you can know where your opponent are going to be positioned. I said a couple of times in the broadcast, I was very impressed with Homeless and their ability to kind of punish the predictability of BBG. And it felt like in many ways Def was exploiting that, because if you kind of think you know where they're going to be, then you also know how to play around, catching them by surprise, walking past them without being seen, getting in these kind of awkward positions, catching them off guard. It was really, really well done.
Definitely. And with that, though, we have to say our adieu to Built by Gamers. Well, not really. They still have one more match to play, which we will be casting myself with Sully in the next best out of 3. They will be playing 100 Thieves. Basically, now it's just going to be practice at this point for these two teams, right? Just to try to get that experience moving on into the next matches. So that will be coming up here at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, so about an hour and a half. And at the same time, though, actually, we could probably know that in an hour and a half,